Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we had started the discussion over the parliamentary committees. Okay. And these are the topics that we have scheduled for the discussion under this particular series, like the meaning, classification, financial committees, departmental standing committees and what are their jurisdiction, committees to inquire, committees to scrutinize and control, committees relating to day-to-day business of the house, housekeeping committees and the consultative committees. All right. And if we talk about the topics that we have covered so far, so basically we have done with the meaning, classification, okay, and the topic on which we have been discussing on, that is the financial committees. And the remaining topics are departmental standing committees, the departmental standing committees and their jurisdiction, committees to inquire, committees to scrutinize and control, committees relating to day-to-day business of the house, housekeeping committees and the consultative committees. All right. So that is the picture that we have created so far all together. So basically in this lecture, we will start from where we had left in the previous one. All right. So here you can say in the previous lecture, we had discussed this one. Like, however, we can say the Public Accounts Committee having the powerful force to control the public expenditure. But when we take it to the actual ground, then what we will find that this committee is so much powerful on paper. But when we take it to the ground reality, then it is not so much powerful as it prescribed in the paper. Why? Because first thing that we had discussed is that the committee could not raise the question on the policy in the broader sense. Okay. The question on policy could not be raised by it. Second, the committee only conducts a post-mortem examination of the accounts. When the expenditure already occurred, then they will do the action on it. Third, the committee cannot intervene in the matters of day-to-day administration. Okay. Fourth, whatever the recommendations the committee will submit to the parliament, that is only advisory to the ministers. They are not binding on the ministers. Then, it is not wasted with the power of disallowance of expenditure by the departments. Okay, it means that even if the department is misusing the funds, then even the committee could not disallow the expenditures using by the department. Okay, it is not an executive body, only the examination and advisory body. So that's why they could not issue any order regarding any expenditure and any spending done by the government and its executives. Got it? After this, the final thing that we had discussed was that only the parliament can take the final decision on the findings. And we know basically the parliament having the majority party rule. So the ruling government which having the majority in the parliament, they could easily manipulate the, you can say, the findings of the committee. So after this, now we are going to talk about the estimates committee. Okay. So what is the estimate committee? If we talk about it, so the origin of this committee can be traced to the Standing Financial Committee, which was set up in 1921. 1921 is the same year in which the Committee on Public Accounts was set up. Okay. And this committee is basically previously known as the Standing Financial Committee. Standing Financial Committee means that this is the permanent committee. The first estimates committee in the post-independence era. Here, if we talk about the 1921, so it is the year in which the Britishers had their rule in the country. So that's why we could not talk about it. But if we talk about the post-independence era, after the 1947, so basically the committee was first constituted in the 1950. Okay, on the recommendations of John Mathai, who was the finance minister of that time. So if we talk about the composition of this committee, so originally the committee had 25 members. How many members? 25. It means that when it was constituted, it was constituted for the first time in 1921, so it had 25 members. But in 1956, 6 years after the 1950, when it was first time constituted in the post-independence era, the membership was raised to 30 members. Okay, so 5 members were additionally joined here. Here you can say all the 30 members are from the Lok Sabha only. It is not like the Public Accounts Committee, in which the 15 members are belong to the Lok Sabha and then the 7 members were from the Rajya Sabha. Here all the 30 members that are the part of the estimates committee that are only belong to the one house, that is the Lok Sabha only. The Rajya Sabha basically having no representation in this committee. Alright. So these members are elected by the Lok Sabha every year from amongst its own members according to the principles of proportional representations by the means of single transferable vote. Like, every voter is required to give the preference to the candidate. According to his preference, the candidate will be organized in the first preference, second preference, third and fourth, and then the voting will be started. Okay, about this I had already explained you in the previous lecture, so I'm not going to explain it here. Okay, so just remember these facts and figures. It was established for the first time in 1921 after the independence in 1950 on the recommendations of John Mathey, who was the finance minister of that time. Originally it had 25 members, but in 1956 30 members were there, 5 members were, you can say, included additionally. All the members are belong to the Lok Sabha only. Okay, and the members are selected on the basis of proportional representation by the means of single transferable vote. Got it? Thus, all parties get the due representation in it. Okay, it means that there is a proportional representation, so the majority party rule is some kind of restricted here. That's why all the parties, doesn't matter whether they have the enough representation in the house or not, but they will get the representation in this committee. If we talk about the term of office, so basically the term of office is for 1 year. Okay, again there is a rule for the membership. Whosoever will be the minister, the person who is the member of parliament and holding any portfolio. So the minister cannot be elected as the member of the committee, the same like the public account committee. Okay, even the tenure is the same, the selection process is also same, but the only thing is different, which is the composition, and second one is the house. In the estimate committee, only the members of Lok Sabha could be elected, while in the public account committee, members from both the houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, they could be elected. The chairman of the committee is basically appointed by the speaker. Who will appoint the chairman? The speaker will appoint the chairman from amongst the members of the Rajya Sabha, members of the Lok Sabha, and he is invariably from the ruling party. It means that the another difference that we have seen here is that the chairman of the public account committees belong to the opposition party. Till 1967, that had also the provision that the chairperson would belong from the ruling party. But we know after 1967, the chairperson changed and now it is from the opposition party. But if we take the case of estimates committee, then basically he is invariably from the ruling party. Got it? The functions of the committee is to examine the estimates included in the budget and suggest economies in the public expenditure. Okay. If we talk about budget, then we know whenever the budget under Article 112 presented to the Parliament. So the budget mainly deals with the estimates. It means that estimated expenditure the government is going to make in the given financial year and the estimated revenue against the expenditure. So basically the estimates committee, in the name itself, it carries the estimates. So the prime function is to examine the estimates. Okay, the estimates that are included in the budget. After examines it, basically that suggests the economies. It means the validity of the estimates in the public expenditure. Got it? Hence, it has been described as the Continuous Economic Committee. Continuous Economic Committee means, if we try to connect it with the dots, so here we can say it is a permanent committee. It means that it will be elected on the continuous basis. Second, if we talk about the estimates that the committee is examining, estimates are from the budget, and the budget is also a continuous process. So that's why if we connect them together, we can say that this is the Continuous Economic Committee. Okay. In more detail, the functions of the committee are: first is to report what economies improvements in organization, efficiency and administrative reforms consist with the policy underlying the estimates can be affected. Okay. First is like what economies, what improvements in the organizations, what efficiency and administrative reforms consistent with the policy that are underlying the estimates, how these could be affected. This is the first thing that they do. Thereafter, second is they suggest the alternative policies in order to bring out the efficiency and economy in the administration. Like alternative policies, what is the alternative policies? Like here we can say, I had already told you in the parliamentary session, like whenever the budget presented in the parliament, so there are certain conditions, like the prior permission of the president is required. Then the finance minister will present the budget. The budget could be only presented in the Lok Sabha only. All right. And then we know there is a budget speech. What is the budget speech? The finance minister who will present the budget, he or she will speak out the budget and introduce the budget to the houses. Okay, that is known as the budget policy. So while introducing the budget to the houses, basically they mention about the policies. Okay, the policies the government is going to employ while doing the expenditure and while expecting the certain revenue from this expenditure. All right. So here you can say there are already given policies in the budget. Now the alternative policies means apart from these policies that are mentioned in the budget, what policies could be appointed and could be employed by the government so that the more efficiency and economy in the administration could be brought out. Okay. So there are two things. First is the given policy. Second is the alternative policy. What is the difference? I have told you. Given policies are already mentioned in the budget. Alternative policies are the alternative of these policies, and they are also promised to bring the efficiency and economy in the administration. Third is to examine whether the money is well laid out within the limits of the policies implied in the estimates. Okay. Fourth is to suggest the form in which the estimates are to be presented to the parliament. Okay, like if we talk about the estimates, so if the estimates are presented to the parliament, so there must be some form. Okay, so here you can say here is also the one form, that is the given form. Okay, one form is the given form. Second is the suggested form. Okay, like which could be employed while presenting the budget other than the form that is included in the budget already. Okay, the committee shall not exercise its function in relation to such public undertakings as are allotted to the committees on public undertakings. Okay. Similarly, like the Public Accounts Committee, the Public Accounts Committee could examine the report of the CAG, but could not examine those reports which are related to the public undertakings, and these public undertakings are already given to the Committee on Public Undertakings. Got it? Similar provision is provided here. The committee could exercise its functions in relation with various things, but could not exercise its function in relation with the public undertakings, the undertakings which are allotted to the committees on public undertakings. Got it? The committee may continue the examination of the estimates from time to time. Okay? Throughout the financial year and report to the House as its examination proceeds. So here you can say it is not a one-time examination. Like the committee only examines you can say the estimates once the budget presented. No, they will examine the estimates time to time throughout the financial year. Okay? And whatsoever they will find, they will report it to the House as the examination proceeds. Okay? So remember this thing. It shall not be incumbent on the committee to examine the entire estimates of any 1 year. Okay? It means that the committee could not be forced, okay, and could not be directed to examine the entire estimates of 1 year. Okay? It means that suppose when the budget was presented, okay, so the committee could not be forced to examine the estimates of financial year in one go, okay, but they are free to examine the estimate on the time to time basis. Okay, so a complete check could be ensured. The demands for grants may be finally voted despite the fact that the committee has made no report. Okay. So here we can say, however, the effectiveness of the role of the committee is limited by the following. Here you can say, again, the committee is powerful on the paper, but still there are several facts and figures that restricts the power of the committee in certain things. Okay. And what are these areas? First, examines the budget estimates only after they have been voted by the parliament and not before that. Okay. It means that once the budget presented and the estimates presented, okay, so when the voting in the parliament would be done, when the estimates would be granted, then only the committee could examine it. Okay, it could not examine before the voting on the estimates. Second is, cannot question the policy laid down by the parliament. Okay, it means that again the same limitation, that limitation was already in the public account committee, like the question on the policy could not be raised. Okay, after this, its recommendations are only advisory and not binding on the ministers. So whatever recommendations they will provide, the recommendations are totally depend upon the discretionary of the minister whether to admit them or reject them. Okay, they are not binding in nature. It examines every year only certain selected ministries and departments. Okay, it means that entire ministries and departments are not put under the examination of this committee. They could only examine the selected ministries and department every year. Selected ministries and department, not entire things. Okay, so here you can say, thus by rotation it would cover all of them over a number of years. Okay, it means that suppose if there are 100, you can say 100 departments and ministries. All right, and there is a rule that during a one financial year only the 10 departments and ministries could be examined by the committee. So it means that to examine the 100 ministries and departments, they will require the 10 years. Okay, because at first year from 1 to 10, second year 11 to 20, third year 21 to 30, fourth year 31 to 40, fifth year 41 to 50, sixth year 51 to 60, seventh year 61 to 70, eighth year 71 to 80, ninth year 81 to 90, and 10th year 91 to 100. Okay, so on the basis of this rotation, it would cover all over them, but over a number of years, not on the same year. So it will take a long time. After this, we can say it lacks the expert assistance of the CAC, which is available to the Public Accounts Committee. Like we had discussed, might be the members who are appointed to the committee, they having the basic knowledge of the accounts, basic knowledge of examination, but it is not necessary that they having the expertise knowledge of the accounts and the, you can say, the examinations. So that's why in the case of Public Accounts Committee, they having the support of the CAC, the Controller and the Auditor General, which is specially designed to look after these cases. He will assist the Public Account Committee. But this is not available when we talk about the Estimates Committee. The Estimates Committee not having the expert assistance of the CAC so that they could ensure the minimal false informations in their reporting. After this, it is works in the nature of a postmortem. Why? Because we know while presenting the estimation and while conducting the voting on the estimations, they could not report on them. They could only report on them after the commissioning of the voting. Okay, not before of it. All right. So remember these things. Okay, now let's move forward. After this, now we are going to talk about the Committee on Public Undertakings. Okay, this is the new topic that we are going to start right now. So if we talk about the Committee of Public Undertakings, before this, let us talk about the public undertakings. Okay, so the public undertakings are the corporations and the organizations that are under the control of the government. It means that their administrative, their management, their financial, their economic, and their entire controls rest with the government, whether at the central level, state level, or at the local level. These public undertakings are basically the organization that works as the normal business unit, and because they are the business unit, so we know that they will be work for earning the profit. Okay, remember this thing. And here you can say basically if we talk about the Article 19. In the fundamental rights, we had covered the Article 19. So basically in the Article 19, there are 6 freedoms that are granted. Okay, freedom of speech and expression, freedom of movement, freedom of residence, freedom of assembly, freedom of association, and the last one was freedom of profession. It means that in India, every individual is set free to choose his or her profession or to choose his or her career in which he wants to explore his future. Okay, but if we take the last freedom, the right to profession, so we know in the general way, the fundamental rights that are granted to us, they are not absolute but qualified. What does it mean? It means that there could be the restrictions, okay, on the fundamental rights. Similar restriction is also applicable on the sixth right under the Article 19, that is right to profession. It means, however, the individuals are set free to pursue their career, but still there are some sectors in which the government could exercise their monopoly. It means that the government, if the government wants and if the government finds it necessary that this particular sector should be under the entire control of the government, then the government could exercise its monopoly. For example, if we talk about the railways, railways is a business. Okay, they are conducting their services, they are providing their transportation for earning the revenue. All right, and the profit revenue also. So here you can say if we talk about the Indian Railways, so you will find no private entity running the trains. Okay, the entire system is put under the control of the government. Okay, so railway is the finest example of the public undertakings. So you can say the public undertakings are the organizations that belong to the certain sectors, the sectors which are under the strict control of the government, or you can say direct control and the entire control of the government. All right. So basically these public undertakings, because they are working by the government, so they will require the funding from the government. So the government will provide the funding, and because they are business, so they will generate the revenue. Okay. And whatsoever revenue they will be generating, that revenue is basically of the profit nature, and this revenue will goes to the government. All right, so it's become, you can say, important that whichever authority is exercising the control over those public undertakings, okay, that particular authority must be authenticated while using this. Okay, so this is the thing. Got it? So that's why there is the committee on the public undertakings. The committee is in charge to look after the expenditure and the revenue parts by these public undertakings and what was the role of government while conducting these things. All right. But I don't think that we have a sufficient time so that we could start the discussion over the public undertakings right now. Okay. So what should we do? That we could do, we will start the discussion over the public undertakings, or you can say the committee on the public undertakings in the next lecture. Okay. Till then, what you can do, that you can revise the public accounts committee and the estimates committee. You could find the similarity in between them. You could find out the difference in between them. All right. And even you could find out that what is the relevancy of these committees with the Indian political structure as well as economical and financial structure. Okay. So these committees are important from the examination point of view because the questions are directly asked from these committees, their functions, their limitations, the composition, the establishment and all, even their primary roles. Okay. So please revise the facts and figures in the proper sense. Okay. So with this note, let's end this lecture, and what we say thank you.